have my word." She looked frightened. "This has never been done before, Oisín. I cannot refuse you if it is your heart's desire, but I fear for our future." Despite her misgivings, the next morning, Niamh prepared the white stallion for Oisín to travel to Ireland. As he mounted the horse, Niamh said, "Oisín, I have consulted my father's wisest advisors, and they tell me that if you set one foot on the land of Ireland, your return here will become an impossibility. You must promise me that you will never leave the horse's saddle, for if you do, you will never get back to Tain and Og." Oisín readily agreed and kissed his wife goodbye, his heart racing with excitement at the thought of seeing his father and the Fianna again. But she called him back, crying great tears. "Oisín, I implore you, please don't go. You won't find what you're looking for. If you can't be happy here, you will never find it anywhere else." But even though Oisín loved his wife dearly, his heart was already back in Ireland, and he scarcely listened to her pleas. He turned from her and Tain and Og, and the stallion took him away at great speed. In what seemed like a blink of an eye, Oisín found himself on the Kerry coast of Ireland. But how changed the land was. The great forts all lay in ruins, overgrown with weeds and mosses. The people that he saw looked small, timid, and destitute. The only buildings of stature were churches, and in them he saw these unrecognizable, diminutive Irish people on their knees, giving thanks for their lives of toil and suffering. How had so much changed so quickly? What had happened to the land of heroes? Oisín stopped a young boy and asked him the whereabouts of the Fianna. But the boy appeared not to understand and ran from his questioning. Eventually, Oisín found an old man at a crossroads who knew of the Fianna. He looked up at Oisín curiously. "But the Fianna are no more. They have not existed for hundreds of years." Oisín laughed in the man's face. "What of my father, Fionn MacCool?" The man looked astonished. "The great Fionn MacCool died almost 300 years ago." Oisín felt like a sword had pierced his heart. 300 years? Could he have been away that long? It had seemed like 3 years to him. Had 300 years passed in Ireland? As the awful realization sunk in that his home no longer existed, Oisín felt an unfamiliar emotion of pain coursing through his veins. He had known no suffering in all his time in Tain and Og. Angrily, he cursed himself for ever leaving. He may have eternal life, but his father was lost to him forever, and Oisín's promise to return had proved to be hollow. Disconsolate, he travelled around the country, amazed at this new breed of men that walked the land of his fathers, men who were small in stature and in mind, men who cared only about the priests and holy books, and cared nothing for the heroic deeds of the Fianna and the great Cuchulainn. One day, Oisín passed a group of men trying to lift a great slab of marble from the earth. It was too heavy for them, and they called out to Oisín for help. Smiling at their lack of physical prowess, Oisín leant down from his horse and easily moved the slab. But the girth on the saddle snapped, and Oisín fell to the ground. Immediately, his horse bolted, and Oisín felt like a great weight had descended on him. The men gathered around amazed. where a great powerful giant of a man had reached down from his horse to help them, there now lay the oldest, most frail man that any of them had ever seen. Oisin had aged 300 years in a moment, and was now back forever in the land of mortality. He was blind, he ached all over, and he couldn't even stand. Gently, the men picked him up and carried him to the monastery of the most holy of their priests, Patrick of Albion. There, Patrick told Oisin the new stories of an afterworld and a risen Christ, the Redeemer. Oisin didn't care much for Patrick's stories and countered with his own stories of Tir na Og and the heroic deeds of the Fianna. In truth, though a great respect developed between them, neither believed the other.